There is only one confirmed case of Ebola in this country tonight, the doctor being treated in a New York hospital. But there is a lot of debate over what to do with others considered at risk. Today, the CDC put out new guidelines. They establish risk levels and say that those at highest risk should have their travel restricted and be isolated only if they have symptoms. That was not the case with a nurse who returned from treating Ebola patients in Sierra Leone. New Jersey quarantined her in a hospital tent against her will, but under pressure, they let her go home to Maine today. Here's Dr. Jon LaPook.
When Kaci Hickox was released from her quarantine, it ended a 3-day odyssey that has become the latest example of an Ebola policy being modified on the fly. In this case, by the governors of New York and New Jersey. On Friday, they announced mandatory quarantine for anybody who had interacted with Ebola patients in West Africa.
And New Jersey and New York are going to determine the standards of quarantine, since CDC's guidance is continually changing, and we need to set a standard for our two states.
When she landed at Newark Airport, her temperature was taken and showed no fever. After several hours of questioning, it was taken again and registered at 101 degrees. Hickox feared it was a false reading from her forehead because she was flushed. She first complained about her treatment in an essay published Saturday by the Dallas Morning News, writing that officials at Newark appeared to be disorganized and barked questions at me as if I was a criminal. We reached Hickox by telephone on Sunday morning. She emailed us several photos showing the isolation tent, her bed, and a portable toilet. She told us she felt fine, showed no fever, and had tested negative for Ebola. She complained her rights were being violated and told us, "Decisions are being made because of politics, and it's my life that's being affected."
She hadn't had any symptoms for 24 hours?
Today, Governor Christie spoke about the decision to release Hickox.
The reason she was put in the hospital in the first place was because she was running a high fever and was symptomatic. So, if you live in New Jersey, we'll quarantine you in your home. That's always been the policy. If you live outside the state and you're symptomatic, we're not letting you go onto public transportation. It makes no common sense.
Today's new CDC guidelines defines high risk as someone who has known exposure to the virus. For example, a family member who cared for someone with Ebola or someone with a needle stick from an infected patient. If that person has no symptoms, the CDC recommends daily monitoring by a health official for 21 days and restrictions that prohibit travel by airplane, ship, or long-distance bus or train.
John, there has been so much concern in this country, but when you add it all up, not many patients.
Yeah, this is a good moment for perspective. In the United States, only 2 people have caught Ebola from somebody else. Those are the 2 nurses who directly cared for Mr. Duncan and were exposed to body fluids. Otherwise, the 48 contacts of Mr. Duncan all tested negative. All the people exposed to the nurses have been negative so far. And there's more good news, which is that the 5-year-old boy from who visited West Africa, returned here, had a low-grade fever, was admitted to Bellevue Hospital, has tested negative for the virus.
John, thank you very much.